Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 2001 TVR Tuscan S. Now this is a sports car that was produced between 1999 and 2006, assembled in Blackpool, England, and designed by Damien McTaggart. The name Tuscan itself comes from an older model that was produced between 1967 and 1971, and I really like this car. Now it was introduced into this game via a seasonal championship, which was easy enough to do, and what you get in return is one of the best British sports cars from post 2000 ever made, quite frankly, because it has a lot going for it, including being the fact that it only weighs 2,425 pounds, is rear wheel drive, has a 5-speed manual gearbox, and looks incredible, quite frankly. I love the mad styling, I love the rippled bonnet, I love the three headlights stacked upon one another, the holes in the front bumper there. The interior is completely insane, it makes no sense whatsoever. And if you saw that Top Gear episode back in the early 2000s where Jeremy Clarkson tried to get a few people to get in and start the car, they had no idea how to start it because you had to do a special thing, which in of itself is a good thing. It means you've got this expensive sports car that can't really be stolen. But yeah, it's pretty insane interior, quite frankly, and it's hardly the most practical vehicle ever though, because there's no rear seats, just a compartment where you can put more things in. But it does have a decent sized boot, which isn't something that is all that common on these kind of sports cars from the early 2000s. And crucially, it is a fun car to drive. Some of that comes down to obviously the engine. Now this engine bay is rather Spartan, which just indicates how small of a company TVR were back in the day. But yeah, what it has underneath is a 4-litre inline-6 engine producing 390 horsepower and 310 pounds-feet of torque. Now you'd be wondering what's the difference between an S and a standard Tuscan. Well, this had more power than a standard Tuscan by 30 horsepower, which was in comparison to the standard 4-litre inline-6. There was a 3.6-litre inline-6 as well that had 350, but yeah, this has 30 more than a 4-litre inline-6 standard Tuscan. And it's also got an under tray at the front for better aerodynamics, and that rear spoiler that you saw there on the boot lid there. So yeah, not massive amount of changes between this and the standard Tuscan, but those changes did get a little bit better in the post 2005 version of this, as it had even more power at 400 horsepower, and there were some slight handling modifications to make it handle a little bit better. But I love this car, and releasing this alongside the likes of the newest TVR, the Griffith, is really rather inspired, because you can see what TVR were and what they are now. Now, granted, this car isn't as fast as that Griffith, and it's nowhere near as technologically advanced, but on the whole, I do like this car a little bit more. To see why, let's get out onto the open road and see what it can do. Now, though I could compare this to the Griffith, it would be a little bit unfair to do so, because obviously that car is far newer than this, and no doubt had a lot more money behind it as well at the time. So what I'm going to compare this against instead is a car from around the same period as this, from a manufacturer that had far more money behind it, was far more expensive to buy, and had far more power, torque from a bigger engine as well. And that car is the 2002 Ferrari 575 M Maranello, which, might well be a year newer than this, but really didn't have all that much in the way of advantages over this. Because, granted, that car does have 118 horsepower more than this, 124 pounds-feet of torque more than this, from an engine that is nearly half as much, again, over this, at 5.7 litres, while having twice as many cylinders from a V12 engine. But that car weighs a massive 1,390 pounds more than this, so as a result, this car can do 0 to 60 in 3.914 seconds, and 0 to 100 in 8.916 seconds, going on to a top speed of 180 miles an hour. Now, unsurprisingly, with all that extra power and torque, the Ferrari is quicker than this at the top end at 205 miles an hour. But that Ferrari is completely outclassed in terms of acceleration. It can only do 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, and 0 to 109.617 seconds. So this Blackpool Rocket really is quicker than a Ferrari from the same period, which is remarkable considering this car costs way less to buy, certainly costs way less to make and engineer, and yet is nowhere near as technologically advanced, because this only has a 5-speed manual. It doesn't have a flappy paddle gearbox or anything like that. Doesn't have traction control, didn't have ABS or anything, didn't even have airbags. So yeah, this, despite having all of those disadvantages going against it, is the better car than the Ferrari, and quite frankly I think it handles better. It's way more fun as well, also more fun than the Griffith as well while we're at it, and yeah, sounds a lot better as well, and yeah, it's obviously faster in terms of acceleration, and that top speed really doesn't come into account really for most of the part, even on this game or in real life. So yeah, this has a far more expensive Ferrari licked in terms of performance and handling as far as I'm concerned, and yeah, it's a really good car in its own right. Now the Griffith, in comparison to this, I know I said I wasn't going to compare it, but there is one thing that you need to really compare it against, and it is the handling of the Griffith. Now that handling on that car is superb. It really is amazing. It handles so well. It's beautifully made as well, and yeah, this is the complete opposite, to be honest. And yeah, that's one reason why I prefer this car to that Griffith, because even though the Griffith is a cracking car to drive, it's a superb driver's car. It will, rip up any track you throw it at, and any B roads or anything like that as well. But at the end of the day, this is more fun to drive. It sounds better, it looks better, and it's yeah, a lot more fun to drive. Sure, it's never going to be as quick around a track than the Griffith, even though it is quite close in terms of 0 to 60 times. But yeah, this is just more fun, and yeah, obviously it's a lot more dangerous than the Griffith, for instance, because it's really rather leery. It's got all that power going through rear wheels while weighing very little. Weighs nearly 200 pounds, or more than 200 pounds less than that Griffith. So yeah, even less weight, while not all that much less in the way of power or torque. So yeah, cracking vehicle, and I'm glad that this car has come to the Forza series, to be honest. And that's kind of proven my point before about how leery this car is. But yeah, I'm not sure if this has been on a previous Forza game, but even if it has, I'm so glad it's on this game, because yeah, it's obviously said in Britain, this is a British sports car, and yeah, it feels right at home on this game, and yeah, it's an absolute joy to drive, and yeah, it's easily one of my favourite free add-ons to the game, to be honest. And yeah, highly recommend doing the seasonal championship while you can to get this car, because yeah, it's a awesome vehicle to drive, and yeah, easily one of my favourites on the game right now, quite frankly. And yeah, I don't see any other kind of car in this kind of class that's really going to upstage it, quite frankly, because it has pretty much everything going for it. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.